Welcome back to Good Day Columbia. And since the dramatic apprehension of the suspect in the Boston Marathon bombing case, a whole host of questions has come to the forefront, including immigration, homeland security, and even the Fifth Amendment itself. The Miranda decision by the Supreme Court in 1966 set in motion a common practice of reminding suspects of their right to remain silent and, of course, the right to be represented by counsel, both of which are in the Bill of Rights. Earlier this week, the White House issued an order saying the suspect would be given his Miranda rights. Since then, Miranda, of course, has been questioned, and it's been wagging on the tongues across the country. Joining me this morning to talk about Miranda, Lexington Attorney Rich Bolen. Good morning, Counselor.
How are you?
I'm very well. First, let's talk about Miranda itself, just in general. People say Miranda rights, Miranda warnings. There's no right to Miranda.
Right. Miranda is a shorthand version or name of a U.S. Supreme Court case. There are actually 3 other cases at the same time that were all decided in that decision. But when you hear it in the movies and the police, they use the term Miranda.
Right,
Miranda warning, Mirandized,
right.
That's right.
And of course that just simply is right to remain silent and tells you how the speedy trial, right to a speedy trial, right to an attorney if you can't afford it, won't be appointed to you. I think we can all
quote it
without a doubt. Right. 2 things that you have to have for Miranda, though. There are 2 pieces. You have to have interrogation and custody. Otherwise, there's no Miranda, correct?
That's right. The police can ask you questions all they want as long as you're just standing on the side of the road and you can answer them, and you have no right to be warned that you don't have to answer the questions.
Right, because people say that when an officer walks up, you got to read me right. The officer says, no, I don't. You're not in custody.
Right. Once they put the handcuffs on you, they have to warn you that you have the right to remain silent and you don't have to answer, and anything you say can be used against you.
Now, you get 2 prongs then. If you've got custody and interrogation, I can take you into custody if I'm a police officer. If I don't ask you anything, I also don't have to read you Miranda, right?
That's right. If you get a DUI, the officer sees you driving and knows you're drunk, he doesn't have to ask you anything. He knows the case. He can make the crime.
Sure.
When they arrest you because they think you might have robbed the store, then they start asking you questions to try to figure out. Now, if they do that without warning you, they can't use, if you admit it when you're
You'd be thrown out in court.
Right, they can't use it because they didn't Mirandize you. They didn't tell you didn't have to answer.
Okay, let's slide up to our friend, the suspect up in Boston, in the Boston Marathon bombing. He's in custody. Obviously, he was found in the boat. The dramatic apprehension. He's found in the boat. He now has been read. Of course, the question was, is there is the exception in place for public safety? Is he an enemy combatant? Is he a citizen? The White House said he gets Miranda. He's a citizen. Let's talk about that.
Right. Well, the issue for some people is that they don't want him to clam up. They want to be able to find out what else is going on. The problem is that if we treat him as though he's some special case, that he's not just a regular criminal, then when else will they do that? To us, to someone else who gets arrested. If you say things that the government doesn't like and they arrest you for, some trumped up charges, then can they treat you like an enemy combatant?
Sure. That's, I guess, a slippery slope if you don't follow those rules.
And he is a U.S. citizen. Now, whether he should be a citizen or not is another question.
Sure.
He probably shouldn't have been.
If he's not a U.S. citizen, does that still apply? If he wasn't a citizen, if he was a Russian citizen or wherever, citizen, would he still have that? Would Miranda be an issue?
It could be. I mean, he could still be treated as a civilian. I mean, if you're in the United States, you're entitled to human rights, civil rights.
Right.
But it's much easier to denominate someone an enemy combatant when they're not a U.S. citizen, or if they're not on the American soil.
Okay.
But in this case, this person, I can't remember his name, and can never pronounce it right.
Dzhokhar, yeah.
Yeah, he was on American soil, and he is a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
So he should be given all the rights every other citizen who's accused. If you look at that guy who's accused of the ricin letters, it turns out he didn't do it. And now they totally dropped the charges altogether and said, oh, sorry.
Yeah, oops, how about that? You made you a big suspect across the country of threatening the president, and sorry about that.
So if they treated him as an enemy combatant, he'd be getting waterboarded in Gitmo right now, and everyone would be going, good, we're going to find out who this terrorist guy is with the ricin letters.
Right.
Now, obviously, these aren't exactly the same, but the principle applies.
Sure, where you've got somebody who may have done something against the country. All right, so real quick, White House made the right call in ordering that the Fifth Amendment be read.
In this case, I do believe they did make the right call.
Very good. Thank you very much. Rich Bolen, I appreciate explaining what Miranda is, and Janet still having the right to remain silent. Hopefully we're going to let her break that right in a couple of minutes and chat with us. Anyway, got a lot more Good Day Columbia on the way, including a way that you can help fight autism by taking a stroll. Stay with us. We got a lot more Good Day Columbia